talk about what I think is the best computer I've ever used. It's the M2 Max Studio. I've been using this as my main computer for over a year, and let me tell you, this thing has been great. I think it's especially important to give this long-term review now with the M4 Max and M3 Ultra that will be out by the time I post this video. Reviewing the M2 Max Studio after a year kind of gives us essential context for what these upcoming models might offer, and it helps us understand just how far Apple has come. Now, this was the first real computer I got since my creative journey, and honestly, it hasn't failed me once. I'm talking about photo and video editing, sound design, running tons of Chrome tabs, because let's be real, Chrome eats RAM for breakfast. But the most important part, it hasn't crashed, not once. Of course, there was times of random freezes and weird slowdowns that required me to force shut down, but other than that, it has not crashed at a critical moment. So yeah, as of right now, the Mac Studio lives here in my desk setup, nice and snug under my monitor stand. It's accompanied by a 27-inch BenQ Quad HD monitor and the KEF wireless speakers. For accessories, we have the Logitech MX series combo with the MX keys and MX Master 3S mouse. I definitely want to add more accessories and peripherals to further enhance my productivity setup with the Mac Studio, but for now, this setup has done it all for me. So in this video, I want to tell you guys everything about it, the pros, the cons, and my experience. Externally, the Mac Studio M2 Max looks identical to its older M1 version. Apple didn't change much in terms of design, but honestly, they didn't need to. It takes up minimal space in my setup, and for a machine this powerful, that's impressive. I have mine neatly tucked under my monitor stand, and at times it almost feels like it's not even there. Despite being roughly the size of two Mac Mini stacked together, Apple has managed to pack in workstation level performance without making it bulky. The balance between power and compactness is something they absolutely nailed. But what I love most about the design isn't just how it looks, it's how functional it is. One of the most underrated things about the Mac Studio is how easy it is to plug whatever you need whenever you need it. On the front, Apple included two USB-C ports and an SD card slot, and this is a game changer for creators. I use external SSDs all the time, and being able to quickly plug them in at the front instead of reaching around the back, that's something I genuinely appreciate. The SD card is also convenient for quickly dumping footage from my camera, but, and this is something a lot of Mac Studio users have noticed, it doesn't always secure in place on the first try. Sometimes I have to wiggle it around a bit to get it to read properly, which is kind of annoying, especially when I'm in a rush. Moving to the back, you get even more connectivity. There's 4 USB-C ports, 2 USB-A ports, an HDMI port, 10GB Ethernet, and a headphone jack. Another issue would be, I kind of wish they went with putting the headphone jack at the front of the Mac. I just find the position of it awkward, and I don't know, I feel like most people would be used to plugging in their headphones at this location, but nonetheless, I'm still able to use higher quality headphones with the Mac Studio, which is a plus. USB-A ports have been a lifesaver for me because I use the Logitech MX series keyboard and mouse, and instead of dealing with Bluetooth connectivity issues, I have both of my 2.4 GHz dongles plugged in. This is so much more convenient than waiting for Bluetooth to reconnect every time I boot up the machine. For my monitor, I have my 27-inch BenQ QHD display connected directly via HDMI. It works great, but I know I'm not fully taking advantage of the Mac Studio's color accuracy and HDR capabilities. My next upgrade is definitely going to be a high-end true color display to get most out of this machine. And when it comes to hooking up accessories, it's just as simple. The abundance of ports means you can connect everything from monitors to external SSDs, peripherals, and even multiple displays without needing a bunch of adapters. I've had setups in the past where just getting my workflow optimized felt like a chore, but with the Mac Studio, it's refreshingly user-friendly. Alright, let's talk about what the M2 Max is really all about. The performance. The M2 Max chip is a serious powerhouse, and with a 12 CPU core, a 30 core GPU, and 32 GB of unified memory in my setup, this machine just doesn't break a sweat. Now, 32 GB of unified memory might not sound like a lot, but for me, trust me, it's more enough for what I do, and let me explain why. When I'm in Premiere Pro editing 4K footage, I'm often juggling color grading, multiple adjustment layers, and some heavy effects. The playback is smooth even with everything that's going on. There has not been any lagging in the playback, which is very nice. And when it comes to exporting, that's where the M2 Max chip really shines. On my previous setup, a project like this might take 20+ minutes to export, and the fans would be going crazy. But with the Mac Studio, it's done so quickly. The combination of the M2 Max chip and the hardware accelerating encoding makes a huge difference. And it's not just for Premiere Pro, photo editing in Lightroom and Photoshop is seamless. I can batch process hundreds of raw images, work on detailed composites, and jump between apps without any lag or delay. day. Whether I'm working on large files or complex workflows, the Mac Studio is built to handle it all. Now let's dive into multitasking, because this is where the 32GB of unified memory is really put to work. I usually have Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Lightroom, and dozens of Chrome tabs open at the same time. Unified memory makes everything feel incredibly fluid and responsive, even when I'm juggling heavy-duty tasks. Here's the thing, in most computers, RAM acts as a temporary storage for the CPU and GPU, so they can quickly access the data they need to perform tasks. However, in a traditional system, the CPU and GPU have their own separate memory. This means they're constantly passing data back and forth, which can cause slowdown. But in the Mac Studio, Apple's combined these memory pools into one unified memory system. This means the CPU and GPU can both access the same memory at the same time, which makes everything faster and more efficient. It's like having two people working at the same table, sharing resources, and not wasting time running back and forth to grab what they need. Everything is right there, instantly accessible. This is huge for tasks like video editing, photo processing, and 3D rendering. In traditional systems, you might run into performance bottlenecks when either the RAM or the GPU memory fills up, but because the Mac Studio's unified memory dynamically adjusts, it assures that you're not waiting for data to shuffle between memory pools. And to shuffle back with the quietness of the Mac Studio, even under heavy load like during rendering or exporting, the Mac Studio stays whisper quiet. Apple's thermal system is built to keep things cool without cranking up the fan noise. Now, when pushed to its limits, the Mac Studio remains surprisingly power efficient. Under heavy workloads like intensive 4K video editing or rendering, it typically draws around 145 watts at peak. This is impressive when you consider that many traditional high-performance workstations can easily exceed 300 watts under similar conditions. This means that not only does the Mac Studio offer excellent performance, but it also uses significantly less power both at idle and under heavy use compared to many traditional setups. What this means for you is that even when you're running multiple demanding applications simultaneously, the Mac Studio is engineered to manage power consumption very effectively. However, when the system is idle, it only uses around 9 watts. This is a great example of how Apple has fused raw power with energy efficiency. It means that even when doing light tasks, the power consumption, heat output, and costs remain low. Now, let's get into some things I'm not entirely in love with about the Mac Studio M2 Max, because no product is perfect, right? One major area where I feel let down is the speakers. I mean, seriously, Apple has pretty much killed it on this front across most of their products. The built-in speakers in the Mac Studio are practically non-existent compared to what you'd expect. Even the speakers in my much older BenQ display monitor sound so much richer and more vibrant than what comes out of the Mac Studio. In fact, after that first disappointing experience, I rarely use the Mac Studio speakers anymore. And while I'm giving Apple the benefit of the doubt, it's still a major letdown if you're expecting the complete package when you're opening it. Then there's the issue with the GPU. Don't get me wrong, but Mac Studio's GPU is more than capable for a lot of creative work. But if your work demands a top-tier dedicated GPU, like for high-end 3D rendering or specialized graphics work, the Mac Studio might not be the best option compared to some traditional PC setups. Many Windows-based workstations pack discrete GPUs that, while less power efficient, can really push the envelope on raw performance. So if your workflow heavily relies on cutting-edge GPU performance, you might want to consider a system with a dedicated, more traditional GPU instead. And let's not forget about storage. The base storage of 512GB just isn't enough for many creative professionals. Let's say something like all the footage that I'm filming for this specific video. It will take a good chunk out of the space I have. When you're dealing with 4K footage, high resolution images, and large project files, 512GB fills up in no time. One workaround I found is using a Satechi hub or similar accessory to attach an external enclosure. This not only gives you the extra space you need, but also keeps your workflow flexible. Still, it's kind of annoying that you have to spend extra and manage another device when you're already shelling out a premium price for the Mac Studio. In a nutshell, while the Mac Studio M2 Max excels in many areas, delivering top-notch performance and efficiency for creative workflows, these issues with speakers, GPU limitations, and inadequate storage in its base configuration are definitely something to consider. If you're primarily using it as a productivity powerhouse, these might be minor inconveniences. But if you're pushing for every ounce of performance in areas like gaming-level GPU tasks, or require expansive storage out of the box, you might find yourself looking for alternatives or having to invest in additional peripherals. So yeah, when it comes about my experience with the M2 Max and why I literally find this one of the best computers out there, that's pretty much it. I hope that you guys were able to get a lot out of this and see what the M2 Max really has to offer. Again, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.